All right, everybody. This week, what are we going to talk about? Well, we've talked about addiction, we've talked about mental health conditions, we've even talked about mixing drugs. So I was thinking maybe this week we're going to talk about codependency. I mean, we haven't even talked about that yet, so I'm thinking we need to talk about that. So codependency, first of all, what is codependency? I mean, if you can get addicted to sex, drugs, gambling, food, and everything else under the sun, I mean, why couldn't you get addicted to people? I mean, why not, right? So codependency is pretty much just that. In simplistic terms, for every great addict, there is a person right next to them that it's allowing them to do their dysfunctional behavior. I mean, of course, right? That would make logical sense. So I guess if we wanted to come out with the right definition or the right guidelines for what that would look like or what that would mean, let me go over what that means. Codependency is a condition or relationship in which a person is controlled or manipulated by another. That's what the definition is. But in my simplistic terms, all that really means is that you're addicted to another person. And so what would be the characteristics of that? How does it look like? So if we have to think of addiction, poor boundaries, right? That would be one of them. People-pleasing tendencies, thinking out loud here. Caretaking, putting your needs on the side to take care of the other people. That would be one of them. Control, dysfunctional communication, maybe, I'm thinking. Obsessions, dependency, denial, problems with intimacy. That would be most of the characteristics of what a codependent person looks like. So now that we went over what the characteristics look like, because everybody asks, well, how can you tell if you're codependent? Now let's go over some of those characteristics. Examples of, I guess, is what I would like to talk about. So when you first think of codependency, a lot of people in our society, the first thing they think of is, well, they seem weak. You know, when you hear codependent people, you think weakness. No. Because if you really think of somebody who's codependent, they're usually the ones that in a dysfunctional family that's keeping it all together. Right? If you really think a bit about that or about the situation at large, codependent people are the ones that are the strong arms. Strong arms in a sense like they're holding everything together. You know, they're the ones that are trying to keep the entire dysfunctional unit moving and going. You know, they're the ones that is running around making sure everybody's happy, everybody's cohesive, and everything continues to move. So do you see that as weakness? Come on. No, they're the strong ones, really. They're the ones that are pushing their feelings aside. They're the ones that are not caring about themselves, and they're the ones making sure that everybody's issues are taken care of because they want that family to continue and function on a daily basis. I don't see that as a sign of weakness, really. Their mantra is usually this: if you would just listen to me, everything else would be okay. That's usually their mantra. So that's kind of like the key of how you can tell if that's a codependent person, because that's usually what they say. And you hear it quite often, usually from them. Why can't you just listen to me? If you would just listen to me, then none of this would have happened. But no, you never listen to me. You always figure out like you want to do things on your own. So go ahead, do it. And then what? You fall, things don't work out, and then what? You come back to me, and then we gotta do it my way. Why didn't you not listen? That's usually what they say, right? You have those people in your family. I know you do, because we all have them. So that's usually the telltale sign of what a codependent person is. So if you are a codependent person, what do? How do you change this? Because after a while, someone who's codependent, they get really tired after a while of doing that behavior. Usually by the time they come into my office, they're at a loss. They're usually really angry. They're frustrated. They have a lot of resentments because people aren't listening to them. So what do? Well, the first thing is creating boundaries. And if you remember in the characteristics, we talked about caretaking, people pleasing, and poor boundaries. So the first things first, creating healthy boundaries. And what that really means is figuring out what is important to you, how you can take care of your own emotions, and create boundaries, healthy boundaries, so that you can take care of your emotions, but still help people in the process. Because let's face it, this is the nature of the beast. You will always take care of people because that's your nature. But in the process, you want to take care of yourself too. So the first things first is figuring out how you're going to take care of yourself in the process. So figuring out what your emotions are, figuring out what your feelings are, and then creating boundaries so you're taking care of yourself and still being able to take care of others. Especially culturally, we are raised a lot of times to take care of other people and have humility in the process. So still adhering to our cultural values, morals, and beliefs, and still being able to take care of ourselves in the process. That's the first step. There's tons of support groups out there. There's tons of stuff on the internet, so you can learn more of what that means and what that looks like. So learn more about it, figure things out. There's a great book called Codependent No More by Melody Beattie that you can read. If you're not a reader, like I said, then go online and look about what codependency is, learn about it, and start figuring out what that means for yourself. If you're deciding, okay, Mel, I'm so not into all of this, but I think I might try counseling maybe, then go online and figure out where your nearest counseling center is. If you have health insurance, utilize your health insurance. If you have EAP sessions, utilize that. It's free, but start the process. Healthy boundaries is the first step. So this is a blog for the week. If you have any questions or concerns, like how I always say, you can always comment and I will get back to you. And until next week, be well and aloha.